Wardell Stephen Curry II was born on March 14, 1988, in Akron, Ohio, the same hospital where LeBron James was born just a few years earlier. But unlike LeBron, who was destined for greatness from day one, Steph's journey was built on grit, hard work, and an underrated chip on his shoulder. Raised in Charlotte, North Carolina, Curry grew up around the game. His father, Dell Curry, was a sharpshooting NBA veteran who played 16 seasons in the league, most notably with the Charlotte Hornets. From a young age, Steph was shooting on NBA courts during warm-ups, watching greatness, and quietly building his own. Despite the NBA pedigree, Curry wasn't heavily recruited out of high school. Scouts doubted his size, strength, and ability to compete at the next level. In 2006, he enrolled at Davidson College, a mid-major school with little basketball pedigree. But that all changed during the 2008 NCAA tournament. On March 21, 2008, Curry dropped 40 points against Gonzaga in the first round, followed by 30 against Georgetown and 33 against Wisconsin, leading Davidson to the Elite Eight. He wasn't just putting up numbers, he was doing it on the biggest stage, against powerhouse schools with flair. By the 2009 NBA draft, Steph had become a household name in college basketball circles. On June 25, 2009, the Golden State Warriors selected him with the 7th overall pick, and while fans were optimistic, few expected what was to come. Steph's early NBA years were marked by injuries and inconsistency, but by the 2012 to 2013 season, everything started to shift. On February 27, 2013, Curry dropped a career-high 54 points against the New York Knicks at Madison Square Garden, one of basketball's most iconic arenas. That performance wasn't just a breakout, it was a declaration. His confidence was loud, his celebration shimmies were viral, and for the first time, the league had to admit Steph Curry had arrived. That single night in New York changed everything. From being doubted because of his size to becoming the face of a basketball revolution. Steph's story was no longer just about shooting, it was about spectacle. After Steph Curry's 54-point explosion at Madison Square Garden on February 27, 2013, the NBA landscape began to shift. No longer was he just the underdog with a sweet jumper. He was a rising problem for every team in the league. That night proved he could torch defenses on the biggest stage. But what followed in the months ahead solidified his rise. On April 12, 2013, with the regular season nearing its end, Curry and the Warriors faced the Los Angeles Lakers in a high-stakes matchup. The Warriors needed a win to boost their playoff seeding. And Steph came out on fire, dropping 22 points in just the first quarter. But it wasn't just the buckets, it was the attitude. He talked to the crowd, let his emotions flow, and walked with the swagger of a veteran. He ended the night with 47 points, and even though he missed the game winner, Lakers players weren't celebrating. They were just glad they survived him. Steph's transformation was now undeniable, and just weeks later, during the 2013 NBA playoffs, he took things to another level. Facing the higher-seeded Denver Nuggets, Curry didn't flinch. In Game 2, he drilled 5 second-half threes, including his now iconic turnaround shot where he literally spun around before the ball even went in, taunting the Nuggets bench mid. The Warriors would go on to win the series, 4-2, thanks in large part to Curry's clutch shooting and fiery presence. Next came a clash with the San Antonio Spurs, one of the most disciplined dynasties in NBA history. In Game 1, on May 6, 2013, Curry dropped 44 points and nearly led the Warriors to an upset win, though Golden State lost the series 4-2. Steph had officially put the league on notice. The baby-faced guard was becoming a problem nobody had an answer for by the end of that playoff run. One thing was clear: Steph Curry wasn't just on the rise, he was changing the game, one deep three and one celebration at a time. The 2013 to 2014 season kicked off with Steph Curry entering a new phase, no longer just a rising star, but a full-fledged offensive weapon. On October 31st, 2013, in just the second game of the season, Curry torched the Los Angeles Clippers with 38 points and 9 threes, setting the tone for what was to come. He was chewing his custom Mogo Sport mouthguard, flashing that grin, and raining fire from deep. But while Steph continued to shine, the Warriors still struggled to break through. Their playoff run was cut short by the Clippers in a brutal 7-game series, with Curry getting out-dueled by J.J. Redick at times. Golden State needed a spark hand fast. That spark came on May 14, 2014, when the Warriors hired 5-time NBA champion Steve Kerr as head coach. Kerr didn't just bring experience, he brought a revolution. He implemented a free-flowing, spacing-heavy offense that unlocked Steph's full potential. The results were immediate. On March 9, 2015, Kerr realized exactly who he was coaching. Curry hit a behind-the-back, crossover, step-back three over Chris Paul, ankle-breaking highlight that went instantly viral. It wasn't just a bucket, it was a cultural moment. Steph was no longer just a shooter, he was a magician, by season's end. The Warriors had stormed to a 67-15 record and entered the playoffs as the No. 1 seed. Curry was named the NBA's most valuable player on May 4, 2015, after averaging 23.8 points, 7.7 assists, and 4.3 rebounds per game in the 2015 playoffs. Steph hit miracle shots against the Pelicans and dagger threes versus the Grizzlies, helping Golden State march to the finals. But things got tricky. After 3 games against Cleveland, the Warriors were down 2-1, and backup guard Matthew Dellavedova had been crowned the Curry stopper. So Steph answered loudly. In Game 5, he dropped 37 points and embarrassed Delly with a mean mug celebration. And by Game 6, he was hitting no-look dimes and laughing mid-play. On June 16, 2015, the Warriors closed out the Cavaliers to win their first championship in 40 years, and Steph Curry was now the face of a new NBA era. Just when it seemed like Steph Curry and the Warriors were untouchable, the basketball gods reminded everyone nothing lasts forever. The 2015 to 2016 season saw Curry ascend to a level few had ever reached. On February 27, 2016, he dropped 46 points and hit a game-winning 38-footer in overtime against the Oklahoma City Thunder, one of the most iconic shots in NBA history. That season, he averaged over 30 points per game, became the first unanimous MVP in NBA history, and led Golden State to a record-breaking 73-9 regular season. But dominance often comes with backlash. Critics began accusing Curry of ruining basketball, arguing that his deep threes were warping the way the game was played. Young players across the country started jacking up long shots instead of learning fundamentals. Coaches began overemphasizing analytics and spacing, phasing out the mid-range game. To some purists, Curry wasn't just a revolution, he was a threat. That narrative gained traction during the 2016 NBA Finals. After storming through the Western Conference, the Warriors took a 3-1 lead over LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Everything pointed to back-to-back titles until it all fell apart. Draymond Green's suspension in Game 5 shifted the series' momentum. LeBron and Kyrie exploded, delivering 41 points each in Game 5. Then came Game 7, Kyrie's dagger 3, Steph's missed chances, and a brutal reality. The Warriors had blown a 3-1 finals lead, the first time that had ever happened, and Curry, he struggled badly. He shot just 40% from the field in the series and averaged fewer than 23 points per game, down from his regular season dominance. Critics pounced. He wasn't Finals MVP in 2015. He collapsed in 2016. And suddenly, people began to question if Steph Curry was really built for the biggest moments. The backlash didn't stop there. When the Warriors signed Kevin Durant on July 4, 2016, Curry was forced to share the spotlight. The move worked. The Warriors became virtually unbeatable, but it cast doubt on Steph's legacy. Was he the system, or a product of one? Despite the noise, Curry kept producing. On November 7, 2016, he broke his own record by hitting 13 threes in a single game against the Pelicans. But injuries began creeping in the 2017 playoffs. Steph stayed mostly healthy, helping the Warriors bulldoze their way to another title. Yet in the years that followed, his body began to break down. He missed significant time in the 2017, 2018, and 2018-2019 seasons with ankle and knee injuries. Then, disaster struck in the 2019 finals. Kevin Durant tore his Achilles. Klay Thompson tore his ACL, and on June 13, 2019, the Toronto Raptors defeated the depleted Warriors, ending Golden State's dynasty run. But it wasn't over in October 2019. Just 4 games into the new season, Curry broke his left hand. He played only 5 games that year. The Warriors finished dead last in the league, and the internet exploded with takes claiming Curry had been exposed without his all-star teammates. Critics resurfaced with a vengeance, claiming Steph couldn't carry a team on his own, that he wasn't a real superstar. But those takes wouldn't age well, because on January 3, 2021, Curry responded by torching the Portland Trail Blazers for a career-high 62 points. He followed it up with 57 against the Mavericks, but the Warriors missed the playoffs after falling to the Grizzlies in the play-in tournament. Curry was once again exceptional, but the team just wasn't ready. Then came 22 to dot, after another injury scare in March sidelined him for the final weeks of the regular season. Steph returned in the playoffs with something to prove. Against Denver, he introduced the now iconic night-night celebration, putting opponents to sleep after clutch daggers. He dismantled Memphis, outdueled Luka, and then, in the 2022 finals against the Celtics, he went nuclear. Game 4, TD Garden. Steph Curry silenced every critic with 43 points, including a masterclass in the fourth quarter. He carried the Warriors on his back and tied the series. 2 games later, on June 16, 2022, he dropped 34 and locked in his 4th NBA title. But this time there was no snub, no controversy, just a coronation. Steph Curry finally won his first Finals MVP. Steph Curry's impact on basketball can't be measured by stats alone though, even those are ridiculous. As of 2022, he's the all-time leader in three-pointers made, surpassing Ray Allen's 2,973 mark on December 14, 2021, at Madison Square Garden. It was poetic. The same arena where he first broke out in 2013 was now the site of his coronation as the greatest shooter in NBA history. But Steph's legacy extends far beyond numbers. He didn't just change the game, he rewired it. Before Curry, the deep three was a last resort. After him, it became a weapon. He made 30-footers look routine, off-balance shots in transition, fair game, logo threes, normal. He forced defenses to stretch beyond their limits and made spacing the new gospel of modern offense. Entire teams reshaped their strategy around trying to stop or copy Curry. The league followed suit. Teams built rosters around shooters. Coaches leaned into analytics that prioritized three-point volume. And in gyms all across the world, kids stopped practicing layups and started pulling up from half-court, mimicking the man who made the impossible look casual. But Curry didn't just influence the style of play, he inspired a generation. At 6'2 inches, 185 pounds, he didn't have freakish size or raw athleticism. What he did have was work ethic, vision, and an unmatched motor. His rise gave hope to undersized guards and late bloomers everywhere. If Steph could make it to dominate, maybe they could too, in terms of accolades. The resume speaks for itself. For NBA champion 2015, 2017, 2018, 2022 to NBA MVP 2015, 2016, including the first ever unanimous MVP Finals MVP 2022, 9 NBA All-Star, NBA all-time three-point leader to scoring champion, NBA's 75th anniversary team. But what sets Steph apart is the how, not just the what. He did it with joy, with flair, with celebration. His signature shimmy, his mouth guard, choose his night-night pose, his no-look shots. These weren't gimmicks, they were expressions of someone fully immersed in his craft, and those moments spread beyond the court. After debuting the night-night celebration in the 2022 playoffs, the pose took on a life of its own. Athletes in every sport, across every level, from soccer stars to Little League players, began using it. In 2023, Curry even broke it out during the Olympics, after draining a clutch three for Team USA. It's no longer just a signature mark of dominance. His influence even extends into culture and business. Curry is the face of Under Armour basketball, having launched his own signature shoe line, the Curry brand, akin to Jordan's in style and impact. He's also an executive producer, philanthropist, and advocate for youth education through his foundation, Eat, Learn, Play. But his most underrated legacy, longevity. Even into his mid-30s, Steph continues to evolve. After the 2022 championship, many assumed Golden State's run was over. Yet Curry returned, still torching defenders, still leading, still reminding the world he's not done. Whether it's dropping 50 in an all-star game or hitting buzzer beaters in regular season thrillers, he remains one of the most feared and respected players in the league. Critics, who once claimed he needed KD, that he couldn't carry a team, or that he shrank in big moments, all got humbled, because Steph didn't just earn his place in the pantheon of greats. He changed the blueprint entirely, from the baby-faced assassin to the king of the arc. Steph Curry's legacy isn't just about rings or records, it's about revolution. From an overlooked college kid at Davidson to the architect of a basketball revolution, Steph Curry's journey is nothing short of legendary. He didn't just redefine what it means to be a great point guard, he redefined what was even possible on a basketball court. He made it okay to celebrate, to shimmy, to turn around before the shot goes in, to be flashy without losing focus. For Steph, style and substance always walked hand in hand. But even with all the glory, all the rings, and all the records, critics never stayed silent. Some say he ruined basketball, that his deep threes and showboating turned the game into a circus, that fundamentals got lost in a sea of heat checks and logo shots. And to be fair, there's some truth in that. Curry's influence is so massive that it completely shifted the way the next generation approaches the game. Yet that criticism misses the bigger point. Curry didn't change basketball out of ego, he evolved it through innovation. The league didn't force him to adapt, he forced the league to adapt to him. And if kids are emulating his range and swagger, it's not because basketball is broken, it's because Steph made the game fun again. In an era dominated by physicality, isolation, and towering athletes, Curry showed that skill, intelligence, and movement could still reign supreme. He didn't overpower defenders, he danced around them. He didn't dunk on giants, he floated past them and made them chase shadows around screens. And as for the showboating, that's just part of the package. The night-night celebration that went viral in 2022 wasn't just a meme, it became a statement. From NBA stars to footballers, even to youth athletes in local leagues, the pose spread like wildfire. It wasn't cockiness, it was confidence. It was Steph reminding everyone, the job is done, the game is over, and you were just put to bed, even in the 2025 All-Star Media Day. When questioned about ruining basketball, Steph handled it like he always does, with poise. He acknowledged the debate, but didn't back down from his legacy. Because at the end of the day, his impact is undeniable. He inspired a new wave of players who are skilled, unselfish, and unafraid to shoot from anywhere. He proved that you don't need to be 6'10" with a 40-inch vertical to dominate. You just need heart, vision, and work ethic. And he did it all without ever losing who he was. Steph Curry remains humble in victory, spiritual in his journey, and relentless in his craft. Whether he's hitting game winners, mentoring youth, or launching new ventures, he continues to carry himself with a sense of joy that's contagious. You can see it in every three-pointer, every celebration, every smirk after he breaks at defenders' ankles. So did Steph Curry ruin basketball, or did he simply take it to places no one ever imagined? That's for you to decide. But whether you love the evolution or long for the past, one thing's for sure: Steph Curry made you feel something, and in a game full of numbers, that kind of emotional impact is what truly defines greatness. From Akron to the Bay, from the underdog to the undisputed, from the kid who pointed to the sky to the man who put the league to sleep, Steph Curry's legacy is already written in fire, and he's not done writing yet.